doing tips.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about this, so that's why I just wedged that into the end of the show.
What?
Because I didn't want to talk about tips.
Do you not score well in round one?
What's that?
Do you not score well in round one?
Let me have a look. I think I got 4 right, but none of them being.
I got 8.
You got 8.
Yeah.
I did go for a lot of outsiders, to be fair.
Yeah.
I actually have no idea how I did. But
2,
good
3.
reminder that if you want to join Zero Hanger Tipping, you can do that. And you tip based on the market. So if you as a point system, go to zerohanger.com/tipping and you will figure it out. It's really fun. Anyway, round 2, Thursday night, Carlton versus Hawthorn. Callum at the MCG.
Back in Hawthorn in here. I think Carlton, some people think they're going to get done based off last week's performance, and it might be a fair take based off last week's performance, but I think they're definitely going to come back and rebound with a bit of energy and, want to do better, and they'll be fired up to try make amends for last week. But I still think Hawthorn have the talent at the moment, and they're on a bit of a roll from the start of the season, so I can see them getting the job done on Thursday night.
Yep. Mitchell?
Hawks.
Hawks.
Yeah.
I'm going Hawks. Come stink. Western Bulldogs and Collingwood Friday night. Ooh, that's going to be...
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Yeah. Doggy's 100th year game celebration, so you'd think they'd get a lot of past players in and kind of build a bit of energy at the G. Home game there.
They're going to do that at the G.
Yeah, well, they're hoping to get a home and away
we'll get a strong
attendance record there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which, still in the warmer months here in Melbourne, so you'd hope a lot of people get along to the game as well as a Collingwood game. But I think despite their gutsy win against the Roos, they've still got too many soldiers out. And I'm not saying that Collingwood's back, but the way they played in front of their home crowd last week, which essentially will probably be the same on Friday, they probably get the nod early on. But generally, the Dogs do match up pretty well against them. They're usually tight contests, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of close.
Yeah, I'm going to go Doggies for that one. You've convinced me in the opposite way of because you sounded too confident about it. Also, I'm still not convinced on Collingwood. Like Port, I think I'm convinced are very bad, and Collingwood just had a good day.
Yeah.
I'm going Dog. I'm pretty much right down the middle, but the Dogs give me 220 points compared to Collingwood's 167. So I'm just taking the points, which I probably won't get. Which is my strategy. In round 1 was picking a lot of outsiders, and none of them got up. Except I didn't tip Richmond, which is almost
the biggest outsider. Yeah,
would have given me 1,000.
Yeah. Well, I did the same thing last week. I was going back in Gold Coast and I was like, hang on, they haven't got Mac Andrew, they haven't got Sam Flanders, let me change it to West Coast. That didn't work out very well. But for Friday night, I'm going to go Collingwood, I think. I think Bulldogs have too many out. And I wasn't completely convinced. I know they had a lot of people out, so it was a pretty gutsy win against North Melbourne, but I think North Melbourne were just poor again. I think it was disappointing from them. I was expecting a lot and they didn't show it. So I think after Collingwood's massive win over Port Adelaide, I think they have the upper hand for me right at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Essendon, Adelaide, Cellini.
Whoa, this one's actually quite tougher than I thought. I know the Crows romped the Saints and Essendon were plucky against the Hawks, but historically these teams have played in pretty close games. I think their last 4 has been decided by 3 goals or less. Sometimes under the lid at Marvel and sometimes Adelaide over, but this one will be at the G. So the open spaces, the Bombers want more games there. I think they might have an extra 1 or 2 than previous years. So I'm going to tip them. I think Adelaide still need to prove to me that they're a genuine contender this year. And that's not to say they haven't improved on last year, especially with the personnel, but I'm just going to think the Bombers, especially the value piece, as Mitch went with the Doggers, 220 points for the Bombers. So hopefully I might get me back up on the leaderboard a lot higher anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go Crows on this one. I'm vibing them. I reckon they have a bit of a vibe about them. Essendon, vibeless.
Vibeless.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that Langford and Ridley would be out. Now I'm really weighing up.
Yeah.
But I had Essendon at 220. I liked what they did against the Hawks. And like I said, Adelaide played against the Saints side that was probably as valuable as what Richmond named last week as well, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Bombers for now. Obviously.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Bombers just off the points alone. I think I'd probably, if it was just a regular tipping, I'd stick with Adelaide. But, the value's there, so I think it'll be a close one. So I'm going to back the Bombers just based on that. I think they did quite impressively against Hawthorn. They won a lot of the major statistical categories like clearances and stuff. They were just a bit inefficient by foot and when going for goal. So if they can sort of fix that up, I know they've got the couple outs, but if they can fix that up, they've got some exciting players coming through, and I think they might have a shot and go against the Crows.
Yep. Port Rich.
I'm not too sure with this one. I mean, everyone clearly went against the Tigers last week. I think Port just have to respond.
Yeah.
And even if it is a 1-point win against Richmond, I just can't see them losing this game. If they do, then it's bye-bye Ken. You know, flip the keys over to Carr, honestly, because
the car keys.
the car keys, well, he probably is in the driver's seat just with Kenny being the front man. So, I mean, if you lose a game like this at home with already the external noise around you, I think it might be not time to call it, but it's definitely in for consideration. So I want to say Port, but not confident.
I kind of want that storyline to unfold just to see what happens if they do finally sack Hinkley. So I'm going to tip Tigers based on vibe, and just because I want that storyline to unfold, because I don't understand how that happens. Yeah. And if even I'm not that convinced on Carr as a coach anyway, and I don't think anybody especially Port fans are either.
It'd be interesting. I think a few are quite tired of Ken, so they're happy that the handover is coming, but they would probably like it.
Yeah, but then at that point, you just want anybody.
Yeah, they just want the immediate handover. I'm going Port. I know there's a lot of points for the Tigers at 600, but I just don't think they can possibly lose that.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of question marks over Port Adelaide if they lose this one. They're going to definitely start asking a bit of questions about where the succession plan ends up if they lose this one, and I think they've got to rebound. So I'm going to back them in. I think Richmond will definitely show some fight, but away from home, a lot of kids in the team, maybe the inexperience sort of contributes to them losing. So I think I'm going to back Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I'd probably end up changing that tip.
Think about the value though.
There's
600 points.
There's value.
Yeah,
There's
a
value
lot of value. Saints, Geelong.
Geelong.
Yeah, Geelong.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
Although St Kilda were... sorry, I know we've done to skip past it all, but St Kilda were pretty. They had some good games at Marvel last year. They knocked off a couple of top competitors. Did they beat Geelong last year?
Yeah, that surging run.
I think they've had the wood over them a couple of times. Yeah, so I could see St Kilda, but I think they're a bit poorer this year than they were last year. So I'm still going to back Geelong.
Be pretty underdone too.
Yeah, and Geelong look good again. All right, Brisbane or West Coast at the Gabba.
Brisbane.
Yeah, Brisbane.
Yeah, I'm not touching West Coast. It's 1,000 points.
Yeah,
1,000 points, but that's
1,000.
Can't possibly. We had about 10 sickos tip Richmond last week. So
yeah.
Congrats to them.
Yeah.
Bold, but it's paid off.
Yeah, they've done well. I should.
Well, one of the people that I know that tip Richmond in my other tipping group is just a diehard Richmond supporter.
Yeah, I thought that's probably
my mate's mum, and she just can't tip. She physically cannot tip against
tip
them.
your heart, not your head.
I'm like that as well. I mean, I'm probably fortunate my team is performing relatively well, but I always tip them each week.
You can't tip against the Pies.
I see it the other way sometimes. If I'm unsure if Geelong will do will win or not, I'll tip the other one, and then it's a win-win. If Geelong lose, I get my tip, but if Geelong win, Geelong win.
You're happy.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm a silly tip in that sense.
Rule out the lose.
All right, Battle of Melbourne, North versus Melbourne.
You'll be at this Marvel Sunday.
I think I will be
under the lid.
I went to Marvel Stadium.
You and Tim.
I'm not sold on it. But I feel like after the attendance of last week's game, then I'd have to do something.
This one get poured on in the rain.
Yeah, is it going to be hot? Do we know what the weather's going to be like? But apparently it was really hot at Marvel the other.
Really?
Yeah,
they
it was 34 all day, and they have the lid closed all day, and it's absolutely
turn the aircons on, Dill.
Keep the lid on. Let Clayton Oliver not have to put sunscreen on. Melbourne.
Yeah, I think Melbourne deserve an early win, especially after Sunday's game against the Giants. And although North are plucky, I just see Melbourne improved.
Yeah,
and whatever they'll do, they'll win.
Yeah. Dez looked quite good.
Yeah,
Sunday. I think they take this one.
Yep, agreed. Melbourne for me as well.
Yeah, and Freo Sydney at Optus to close it out. That's going to be a banger.
Game of the round? Question mark.
Could be.
Yeah,
I'm excited by it.
Doc is rolled in there.
Yeah, if it's not Dogs Pies, It's probably this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that.
If they weren't coming off a loss,
But he missed the shot last year.
Yeah.
They should get Shea Bolton, so that'll be good. I think they lose Sam Switkowski, so it might just be one change. Swans, surely they can't start 0-3.
Brisbane did.
Yeah, remember that time?
Yeah,
they were
like that's. I'm
0-6
not
and
saying.
still came back
Yeah,
and
not
played
saying.
finals?
Yeah, not saying like you can rule them out of finals. It's just like it's stunning to think they might.
Yeah.
But they have had a
Hard
tough
draw.
Yeah.
to start.
very
I have tipped Freo though. Back at home, Bolton's first game. I think some of the areas that they should excel in should be some of the weaknesses for Sydney. So that's what I'll run with.
Yeah, same. Just again, improved performance in last week. If you back that up with the same one, no. Whereas Sydney have been there, so twice on 2 occasions quite close, and they just couldn't get it done. So it's going to be hard to travel to the biggest trip over to the West and knock them off.
Yeah, I'm going to actually take the Swans on this one.
Oi.
No, a bit different.
Big boy.
There we go. I'll take the points as well. That'll be valuable. But I think 0-2 start, they're going to take some lessons out of those games. They weren't, necessarily poor by any means. They had that surge in the third quarter against Hawthorn, almost came back, and Hawthorn sort of maturely put them away. And then it was close against Brisbane. They only lost by less than a goal. So I think Fremantle, they'll probably fix it up a bit. I'm not expecting, Fremantle to continue their poor form, but I think Sydney should. I think they're just due. So sometimes they're just due for a win, and I think they pushed hard in those 2 losses, and it's sort of a bit unfair that they're 0-2 in a sense. So I think they might get it done, and I'll just take the points as well. So.
Yep, Freo for me. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. What are we plugging?